All right, I think we're live. If you got questions, I'll fire off a few now. Kerrane, I think he was, I don't know if they've announced yet, so I won't say anything, but they had a special guest on the happy hour, just got done filming, so he'll be here any minute. If you guys want to rip a few questions, I'll wait till Kerrane gets here to chop it up for DFS. And until then, I can get some questions firing off. I like the first one, I believe. Yeah, 2 questions. Half PPR league, drop Rashad White for Kyron, drop Dobbs for Pierce. I'm fine with dropping Dobbs for Pierce. As Crane noted earlier in the season, it was a week or two ago, when Pierce was on the field, he was the first read on a pretty high number of his routes. It's clear they were trying to scheme him the ball, and they pointed out specifically, I think it was the OC, I forget, maybe it was the quarterback's coach, pointed out specifically that Matt Ryan's struggles on deep throws was part of the reason he's not in the lineup anymore. So, I take a bit from that going forward, if Sam Ehlinger has any juice, they're going to try and get him to throw deep. And that will obviously happen through Alec Pierce, at least over Paris Campbell, who's turned into the de facto number 2 receiver in the past few weeks. But that is, at least my interpretation, is that has come solely from the fact that they have decided to depress the ADOT, try and make things easier for Ryan. And even that didn't work out. So I like that drop. Rashad for Kyron, yeah, I probably... See, the thing is, the thesis of the Rashad play was that he can do all 3 downs just like Lenny. He might be more efficient. But the most important point was that he plays on the sickest offense for running backs, where they don't run the ball a ton, but they do at the 1-yard line, and they throw to their running backs a ton. That's great. Rashad's a bigger back, has good hands. He can just be the exact same role as Lenny if anything happens. This offense sucks now. It's not fun. I mean, they're throwing the ball a lot, but they're just not efficient anymore. So at that point, we've lost the thesis of the play, whereas at least Kyron could be basically that same thing, but he doesn't need the injury ahead of him. Darrell Henderson is just not playing well. So he could just get there without the injury once he comes back. I don't know. Do we have an update on Kyron? I know he had his practice window opened, but that gives him 21 days to actually return, get activated. So I think you can probably wait on him, try and hold out on Rashad one more week maybe. But if you want to go Kyron, I think maybe Kyron's probably the better play. Go Kyron. Full PPR, Judy or Deontay Johnson. Oof. Down bad. Let's go Deontay. Listen to the Thursday pod. We have a discussion. We referenced the show, and I was silenced for being afraid of DJ Moore last week, despite him being the bad target type of player, in that targets from PJ Walker aren't very valuable, and he's going to need a lot of them. He did get a lot of them last week, but if I am not afraid of DJ Moore, which I'm not really, it's different in DFS, but at least as far as season long goes, I'm not afraid of him. I can't be afraid of Deontay. So let's roll with Deontay. Here we go. Full PPR. Robinson. Is James Robinson, or is that Brian Robinson? I don't know which one's the junior. Or is it Brian Robinson? I think it's Brian Robinson. Drop it in the chat if it's Brian or James. I don't know. Was that a suffix? Junior? Assuming it's Brian, I go with Brian. I lost Chase, Brees, and Hollywood. Yeah, it do be like that sometimes, don't it? Schultz or Hurst this week? Give me Hayden Hurst. Full PPR. I have to sit one of Higgins, Hopkins, or Lamb. Oof, that's a toughie. Oh man, I don't think I'm sitting Hopkins. I think it's T. Higgins. You're in a good spot though, having all 3. Let's see. Isn't there like a flex player you can bench? Come on. Just traded just for James Conner. Start Conner, Deontay. Honestly, I'm going to go Deontay Foreman. I'm going Deontay Foreman. Alec Pierce versus Jamal Williams versus Isaiah McKenzie. Let's go Alec Pierce. Keep running back with Alec Pierce. PJ Walker, Ryan Tannehill is your second QB in super flex. Is Ryan Tannehill going to play? I don't know if he's going to play. I know he didn't practice to start the week. He showed up in a boot to the presser after the game. I guess, if Tannehill plays, he was limited in practice yesterday. I guess that's a decent sign. He could play. I guess it's Tannehill. PJ Walker's just been so bad in the NFL outside of last week. I can't bet too heavily on that one sample. So which 2 should I start out of next? I wouldn't start Richard. So I guess, no, I'm just kidding. Walker, Kamara. It looks like a really good mixing spot. Browns have a pretty bad defense by rush EPA allowed. Teams have chosen to take advantage of that by running on them. And Mixon is second in the NFL in expected fantasy points total, rushing and receiving, because even if he's not playing third downs, they throw to him on early downs. They run with him. They haven't recently, but generally they do at some point find a way to go back to him on the ground. Has touchdowns in 3 of the past 4 weeks. Mixon and Kamara for me. You get just more receiving value out of both. And especially for Mixon, the offense is probably the best of the 3 offenses. And without DK Metcalf, I'm a little concerned that Geno continues to re-pumpkin himself after being whatever was the pumpkin turn into the carriage or whatever. He's been the carriage, but now he's re-pumpkining. It's got drop Alec Pierce for Elijah Moore. I don't think so. This Jets team, the way they find success has not been through passing the football, and I doubt it will be passing the football through a player they were like healthy scratching last week. So even if they are forced to pass, it's going to be like Braxton Berrios or something. One more if I can sit. One more if I can. Oh, I see. Sit one half PPR. Garrett Wilson or Josh Reynolds. You're down bad, sir. Quite the down bad, folk. I think I'm sitting Josh Reynolds. Or I guess, is Latavius Murray included in this? Because if it is, it's Latavius Murray. Endorphins, thanks for showing up. Did I answer your question or you just... Oh, I did answer your question. Yeah, it's Kyron. Thanks for showing up. Half PPR, which 2 to get in my lineup? Stevenson, Swift. I'm afraid of DeAndre Swift this week, but I still think you're playing him and Stevenson over Devonta Smith. Like, obviously, I think the last 2 times maybe we saw DeAndre Swift. One, I think he got hurt mid-game. The one before that, we knew he was banged up. They weren't giving him a full workload, but it looks like such a good game. And if they're going to use him at all, it will be through the air and let Jamal Williams bang out those between the tackles plays. And they're going to be going through the air this game because they should be, pretty clean loser to the Lions. I think that line's actually come closer to the Lions, though. It's at least moved towards them. So maybe not, but I like Swift in the high value stuff. Hey, Kerrane. How's it going?
So it was good. Then my internet wasn't working on my computer, so that cost me a few extra minutes here. But how's it going? You just answering questions?
Just clearing out questions.
Beautiful. Any trades that were already made? How are those looking?
There was. I thought I was about to get caught. There was a trade that was already made, but it was I made this trade. Now who do I start sit? Which is just a little context for the start sit. It's not. They're not trying to pull one over on us.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they were trying to get us a little bit with that question.
I didn't even comment on the trade. I just chose to start sit.
All right, sweet. So where did you leave off with the questions, just so we know where to start?
You can see Ellie's question, and I answered it already.
All right,
we're playing the running backs.
Beautiful. All right. Do you want to fire through a few more of these start sits, and then we'll kind of do the reverse order of the show, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe
absolutely.
At 120, we'll get in the DFS. All right. Sorry. Now start 2 of 4, half point PPR. Thielen, Judy, Darrell Henderson, Zay Jones.
Start 2, Thielen, and I feel like Zay Jones.
I think it's Judy.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's fine.
I think Thielen for sure. I think I like the game environment for Minnesota this week.
Agreed.
Dalton, Danny Dimes, Goff, or Ellinger?
Dalton, no. Ellinger, no. Danny.
I'm with that. That was my thought process. I would eliminate those 2, even though I kind of like Ellinger.
Yeah, me too, but I like him because he's 4K on DraftKings, not because
exactly.
You're hoping he turns into Danny Dimes. We don't know he will, though.
Exactly. All right. Full PPR, Foreman, Brian Robinson, or Michael Carter?
Foreman.
Yeah, because Hubbard's out, so I think you go Foreman.
Yep. Hubbard got ruled out like an hour ago.
Still have a pretty deep wide receiver even without Chase here. Ton of fab. You spending big on Tony? Yeah, you spend big on Tony.
Dude, I like obviously like Tony's a divisive subject, right? Because he seems to be clearly a diva. Like, I don't think that should be much of a question. He's never healthy, but God,
he didn't really play in college despite being a first-round pick.
And he was a bad prospect, a legitimate, like, not a
he didn't play.
Mathematical.
He would have been a good prospect if he had played. If he had played in his first 3 seasons since graduating high school, but he didn't.
But it was because they weren't giving him playing time, right? It wasn't because like he was hurt or whatever. It's because he just couldn't earn playing time. There wasn't some other. Maybe he was also an a-hole to those coaches or whatever. But he was a bad prospect.
Yeah. He didn't all of a sudden turn into an incredible athlete who gets open at will. Like, I think there's normally when a guy can't get playing time and then he crushes in his senior year, it's a sign that like he was only able to do that against inferior competition. That's like one of the reasons why I think it's generally such a strong signal. But this I don't think was that case. I mean, he can get open against NFL cornerbacks. I do think it was a signal though of, you know, some of the stuff we've seen since it's been in the league and not getting out there.
Yeah, and so like there are so many red flags with him, but when he's on the field, the dude kills it. He is like elite in every metric. He's not just like one of these gadgety type players either. He is elite in earning targets when he's on the field, and then he does so much after the catch with it that like I'm unloading the clip. Like I think there are not many chances we get to have, even if it takes 2 or 3 weeks, to have a player who seems to have elite talent with the league's best quarterback or a top 3. Yeah, I'm unloading the clip. I'm so excited.
Also, like Andy Reid is gonna do some creative stuff with this guy, like, and it won't be like weird, like, you know, putting him back there as a quarterback type of creative stuff. It'll be actually getting him the ball in space, creative stuff. I think, yeah, go after him, especially if you lost Chase. Like, you got to. That's really gonna impact your team. You might as well swing for the fences. Who to start in the flex? Najee, Sutton, or George Pickens?
Maybe it's still Najee Harris.
77% snaps last week. I yelled at the shit chasing guys
catches.
Because, I mean, look, at some point, I mean, maybe, you know, I'm getting older. We're all getting older every day. I'm willing to play a running back getting a ton of snaps. Okay, I know that makes me a boomer, but he's only getting 80% of snaps. Like, I don't know. I think he's still at flex consideration.
Yeah.
All right. Wan'Dale, Brandon Cooks, Darrell Henderson.
Brandon Cooks.
I think Wan'Dale is like a legit option here. He was actually running a full slate of routes last week.
Yeah, exactly. He produced last week. His role looked more like what you have expected from seeing his line 2 weeks ago. He's sort of upping his opportunities to match the production, so things are leveling out. But it's still Brandon Cooks we're talking about here. So Brandon Cooks.
I'm with you that it's Cooks. Devin Singletary or James Conner?
Devin Singletary.
What do you think of the Tony signing? Now, we covered the Tony thing, but I do want to ask, what do you think of the compensation they sent? Because I feel like that's what he should have been drafted at in the first place.
I thought about that too. That that it's basically like probably makes sense to. Well, it's a conditional third that I'm assuming the conditional is that it will go up to like a second, right? Have we seen what the conditions are?
No, I don't know the conditions. So okay.
Well, so like, and plus a 6th round pick. My guess is it like almost, well, Chiefs 2nd round pick should be pretty low because they're good or whatever.
Right. But, that's basically the third.
I assume the condition is that it moves up based on playing time. I guess maybe it moves down. So, but to me, the biggest thing is that his contract is so cheap. He's making like $3 million a year or something like that for the next, prorated for this half a season, plus 2 more seasons, plus a 5th-year option because he was a 1st-round pick, that if he hits, it is such a structural advantage for this team for 3 years at a minimum, 2 years in a massive way. And the 5th-year option, receivers are getting paid so much that you're kind of fine with the 5th-year option. So to me, like strategically, it makes so much sense. And it makes more sense than signing free agents. Like spend your draft capital at receiver and spend free agent money at other positions, because spending money on free agents has been terrible.
Yeah, as the Chiefs know. All right, who to start? Wan'Dale Robinson or Marquise Goodwin?
Wan'Dale.
I'm with you. What's good, bro? In a pinch, flex, full PPR, Deontay.
You're not in a pinch.
You're not in a pinch.
Play Olave. Obviously, we're both saying play Olave.
Smash Olave. Olave's I think Olave. I wrote in the walkthrough, and maybe this is a little frothy. I don't know. Wide receiver 1. I said he's a wide receiver 1 this week. I think he's an extremely strong play this week.
Yeah.
You are not in a pinch, my friend. Someone, I think it must be a response. Okay, would you trade Aaron Jones for Ken Walker? Seems like the Packers are doing their best to get Jones involved. Full PPR.
I think I would take Ken Walker.
Ken Walker.
Yeah.
He's in a good game environment, Ken Walker, this week. Miles Sanders or Christian Kirk?
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders, I agree. A.J. Dillon worth a pickup for playing Detroit next week?
I mean, it depends who you're cutting, but everyone's hurt,
yeah.
so probably.
Probably. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily like a locked-in starter next week, though.
Definitely.
Should I start Paris Campbell or Marquise Goodwin? I think Marquise Goodwin.
Me too. I'm a little tepid with how we're playing Sam Ehlinger's receivers. I like him as like a super flex option, as a super punt DFS option, but I struggled to really buy into the 2-week sample that's been really good for Campbell with the quarterback turnover.
Yeah, especially with like just him getting peppered with short slot targets. That's not, I don't think, going to be Ehlinger's game. I don't know. We haven't seen him in an actual NFL game, so it could be, but I doubt it. So, and also like there's a lot of reasons why I'm just not. I'm excited about Alec Pierce. I think going downfield, maybe Alec Pierce will be fun, but I wouldn't be starting Campbell. Goodwin, Dobbs, Henderson, Woods, or Higbee in PPR.
Goodwin.
Yeah, I think that's right. Down bad running back play. JaMychal Hasty, A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, we can stop here. Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
That's a legit. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't be dying to start Kareem Hunt. It's not bad. Montgomery, James Conner, or Deontay Foreman?
Deontay Foreman, I think.
Deontay Foreman. Yeah, I agree. Taysom Hill or Tyler Higbee?
I still go Tyler Higbee.
I'm Higbee. Yeah, I think I'm Higbee. Any long? No. Okay.
I think that's a reference to the thing we said.
Like Drew saying, thank you for not commenting on the trade, just providing some Thank you, Drew, for not asking us to comment on the trade.
It's very respectful, very respectful.
Barry, we'll get to your question when we come back and do some more start sit, which we will do in about 20 minutes. But I want to talk to Kyle here about the DFS slate. It's a combo show, so we're doing both here, some start sit, some Q&A, and some DFS. So, Kyle, I'm pretty excited to start Sam Ehlinger this week. I know he's going to be chalky. He's 4K on DraftKings. You can do the little skinny with an Alec Pierce or something like that and play naked Sam Ehlinger, stack up another game. There's ways to do it. Where are you at? Like I don't know if he's going to be like massive chalk. Maybe in small field stuff he gets pretty chalky. We're not going like against a ton of like ceiling quarterbacks here. We don't have Josh Allen to compete with. Jalen Hurts is really the only guy that really terrifies you. Maybe Kyler Murray, but he hasn't really been that scary this year. So kind of feels like not only just a great price, but a great week to where you're really only fading Hurts and you're getting massive savings. So thoughts on Ehlinger, who probably the biggest decision point of the slate of whether or not you play him at 4K.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be that popular because we don't have like super elite running backs. Maybe you could say Derrick Henry, but his ownership has come down in recent. I mean, we have value running back too. We're almost certainly getting Pollard. Mostert looks like a strong play. They're good mid-price guys. Maybe you could say use the salary to pay up multiple times at wide receiver.
That's what
there are no elite tight ends though, so you're not paying up there. And really, there's one elite quarterback. So there's decent mid-price. All the options are mid-price options unless you go with Jalen Hurts. So I don't, or Kyler Murray, I guess. So I don't think he'll be that popular. I definitely agree he'd probably be more popular in like small field mid-stake stuff just because he does project well, assuming you give him a reasonable rushing projection. He ran for like 2,500 yards in college once you strip out the sack yardage he lost, which they somehow count that, 33 touchdowns. He was
weird.
It's awful. It makes data collection just disgusting. And he ran really well, like 8 yards a carry in his preseason appearances. He had like 7 games over the past 2 years, 100 some yards and a touchdown. So yeah, my biggest problem is I really don't have any confidence in who we should be stacking him with, because part of the deal with Ryan's low ADOT, it was obviously like scheme based. We saw them purposely shift from letting Ryan play as if he's normal Matt Ryan to caging him as if, and he was old, can't throw Matt Ryan. And although he was terrible, Sam Ehlinger is a 6th-round pick who's never taken an NFL snap. It would also make sense to have the team continue to play that fast-paced short stuff. But part of the problem was that the team said specifically Matt Ryan was unable to throw deep, and that was part of the reason, many reasons they benched him. So I have no clue what they're doing with, but there are at least 3 options plus tight ends plus pass-catching running backs. I feel very low in my confidence of my ability to pair him with the receiver that goes off. And I do think it'll be a lower volume passing attack as well. So I think there's going to be less to go around. but I don't want to play a naked quarterback. So I'm still undecided on what I'm doing. I
It's
think I'm
Alec
playing safe.
Pierce. Alec Pierce is the guy. He's also going to be low owned, and he's a deep threat. He ran, I think, like 1 or 2 less routes than Michael Pittman last week. He's seen more first read targets than Pittman. If they're like, oh, he wasn't throwing deep enough, like maybe it's because they're trying to get the ball deep specifically to Pierce. Now, obviously, Michael Pittman could and probably will be the number 1 target this week, but Pierce is going to be cheaper. And if you are worried there's going to be low volume, I think getting a guy who can make his day on a couple big plays based on his salary, based on his ADOT. I don't know. I think Pierce is kind of an awesome play. So I'm really like psyched to play an Ellinger to Pierce skinny. I think I'll definitely have that. It doesn't look like Pierce has any chance of getting steam, despite me pounding the table anywhere I can for him. But yeah, I think obviously it makes sense to just plug him in and play him naked as well. But that's where I'm leaning to go with Pierce. And then also, I wonder if you could go like Ellinger Taylor, and play for some because they've been using Taylor so much more in the passing game. And Taylor probably won't be super popular this week. And now you're just betting on basically the Colts to roll. And they just, completely beat the Commanders really badly. And then maybe you're not worried about a bring back. Because I don't think I'm doing a bring back even with the Pierce skinny. But with Taylor and Ellinger, they just, they each score 2 touchdowns and now you're in great shape. Ellinger rushes, of course.
Yeah, I probably only go for that in like the smallest field stuff because you're just trying to get one bet on their offense crushing. But even with that, I guess the Ellinger price is so low, but the Taylor price is so high. There are other good pay up options that with the way their offense have been playing, it wasn't just Matt Ryan that was the problem. The offensive line has been terrible.
The offensive line's terrible. Yeah.
And to me, that's such a limiting factor for their ability to score 4 times at least. So
yeah,
I'm in with Alec Pierce. Like he was kind of the one I was looking at that he doesn't like. You really do need either multiple touchdowns, 100 yards and a touchdown, or them to surprise us with their volume. Those are like the 3 outcomes for Michael Pittman to get there. You just need a long touchdown from Alec Pierce. He can get 3 catches and still pay off because he's 4,800, something like that. So
I think he's 46. I think, yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, so that's where I'd go if I am going to play Ellinger. I'm going to run this with you.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so if we're not doing that, then I think the obvious pivot off of the super cheap quarterback is to actually play the one quarterback who has a massive ceiling this week. That would be Jalen Hurts. He's the most expensive quarterback on DraftKings. Doesn't look like he'll be super popular. I think a skinny with AJ Brown makes a lot of sense. He's probably like a little pricier than feels comfortable, which might keep his ownership really low. So if I can get like Jalen Hurts as really the only quarterback, like he could separate from the field in a massive way this week if he brings AJ Brown along. And I think this game sets up very well for AJ Brown. I think they'll be able to protect Hurts in this game. I think they'll be able to be passing downfield, actually being like kind of a fun downfield passing offense, not so much of the quick game. I don't think they're going to have to pivot to the run very hard here. We should see them solidly pass first. So that skinny stack is also pretty enticing to me. Now, are you bringing someone back? I don't know. Maybe a Freiermuth, something like that would be decent bring back there. But I don't know. It seems like maybe people aren't that interested in going there. And I know that, that's a lot of salary for that skinny stack. But like you said, we do have some savings this week. You can probably make it work.
Yeah, you can definitely make it work. You pointed out the problem. It's not that big of a deal, but the problem for me is that when I'm starting to push up to 7,700 for AJ Brown, like the points per dollar you're giving up by not paying a little more money, or going to DeAndre Hopkins, or paying a little more money for Justin Jefferson or even Cooper Kupp, or a little less for Amon-Ra, you're giving up a lot of like equity there.
Yeah.
But if you're playing Ellinger Pierce, you've already got your points per dollar bases covered in a way. So I don't hate it. And I definitely don't think it'll be a super popular stack. I think Hurts will be like top 5 most roster quarterbacks, but 2 is going to be the number 1. I think it's a pretty big gap between 1 and 2.
Yeah. And it looks like Freiermuth, 3,900 for Freiermuth. He'll definitely carry some ownership, but I feel like you have a low owned Hurts and AJ Brown. And then Freiermuth scores, like, great. And presumably, like, I'm also fine with eating a little bit of chalk there to have him as the bring back. That's a great price on him. Okay, talk to me about Tua, because he's, going to be somewhat popular. I think Tyreek Hill obviously is a very expensive this week, but a great play. He just has such a high ceiling, leads the league in yards per route run. I think this is a really, really good spot for the Dolphins. I think this is a good spot for the Lions. Described the Dolphins defense as the Cowboys defense with the difficulty turned down. Like, it's a very, very similar spot to where they were in last week. And obviously they were terrible last week, but I think that, a pass rush that's not as deadly as Dallas is, but a secondary that's very vulnerable, you can, you beat them with short passes, and that's perfect for the Lions. And it's also perfect for Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's also perfect for DeAndre Swift. So this game environment looks like a little steamy, little popular, but I can't really poke any holes in that.
Yeah, and the thing with a lot of do I think Tua is such a different quarterback than Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins? Probably not. He's probably in that same vein of when things are good around them, they will perform quite well. But the things around them for Tua are so much better than any other team, and he doesn't have the downside, or at least doesn't really show that downside of his team getting up 10 and saying, let's lean on our running back, because they have banged up Raheem Mostert and have had in every one of Tua's starts a positive pass rate over expected. They are we have a small sample, but they're philosophically committed to throwing the football, and they do it damn well. So to me, that's kind of the difference between him as a good a mid-price. He's not an elite talent, but he does project well. And when Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins or Geno Smith has been this way too, those guys always have the risk of their teams deciding, let's shut it down and run the football in the second half. I don't think we see a ton of that. And their opponent, up until recently, has really shown an ability to push, at least to put points on the board, even if they're not technically winning games. So the stack builds itself. It's just obviously Tyreek, Tua, run it back with Amon-Ra. I still think it's actually a fine stack though. It's going to be chalky. It'll be, Tyreek 2 will be the most popular stack, I believe, this week. And then adding Amon-Ra will be the most popular run back. But I still think there are unique things you could do. You could, if it's in small field, you could add a Mostert, you could even add a Swift. And the tight ends. We've seen in a bunch of games this year that are the chalk game of the week. The mediocre tight ends really don't get brought along. So using Gesicki, who, his routes haven't been great, but they've trended up in recent weeks, 70%, over 70% of the routes in the past 3 weeks. A little bit of that might be Durham Smythe being banged up, but he was active the last time they played. We still saw 68, 69% route share. Gesicki's cheap enough that you're just hoping this game pops off and he finds the end zone, which we saw 2 weeks ago. The game didn't really pop off, but he did get in the end zone twice.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you're playing for. You're playing for touchdowns, and then maybe those touchdowns don't go to Tyreek, and he's a little bit of a leverage play. If you're just trying to get in here and do some minis, or you're kind of game stacking this in a unique way, it doesn't involve Tyreek. Tyreek's so expensive that he could have an okay game, and you could maybe have other pieces of this game and be okay. All right, what are your thoughts on doing a mini correlation between say Jalen Waddle and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and trying to get, because I think this is definitely a game you want to try to get some exposure to somehow, whether it's Mostert, Jalen Waddle, whatever it is. Hard for me to imagine this game truly failing, to your point about the pass rate over expected and stuff. So if you're not stacking Tua, what are you looking to do here?
Yeah, I really thought that Mostert would be the ideal leverage play because he's just being a 3-down back. But I think the field's kind of wisened up to just chasing opportunities in good games. A bunch of sites around the industry have bumped him up to 15 to 20% ownership. So it's not really going to be unique. I think DeAndre Swift, and it's terrifying because the last, I think 2 times we've seen him, one of them, he might've gotten hurt mid-game, and the other one, they split his work. He got, his last 2 games, 7 and 5 carries, but 4 and 5 targets. And this is a game we expect him to be trailing. Target should be there, and no one's playing him on his first game back from a month-long absence. So it's terrifying.
I think I am. I'm down to play him.
Yeah, it's the time. There are a lot of scenarios in which he gets 9 touches and we just lose on our faces, but there are also a bunch where he only needs 15 touches and he's one of the most electric backs in the league, and it speeds the game up as well if he is hitting these home runs, which he's been able to do. That either as a mini or as part of the Tua run back, I think it's a good risk to take. It's one of the only risks I feel good about at running back this week because running back is pretty solid.
Do you think Amon-Ra will get steamed up and kind of brought along here?
Probably.
Okay, that's a bummer. I would love to play him, but I feel anytime you're ooh, no one's playing Amon-Ra, and he's such a good play, and it's a popular game environment, and I'm so excited to play him. It's probably a good sign that he's not actually
Yeah.
going to be, he's going to be very popular. Any other kind of wide receivers that jump out to you as just like good plays, even if maybe not as part of like these awesome game environments?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to look to pay up for like in the mid-range, not mid-range, but like not well, there are two players over 9K, both of whom I like. But people are going to look to pay up for DeAndre Hopkins, Monroe St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, probably even Jalen Waddle, definitely Tyler Lockett. I'm not sure how many people are getting all the way up to the 9.6K on DraftKings Cooper Cup. And I think it just should be a truism. Anytime Cooper Cup or Justin Jefferson, who will be more popular, but still not like, I don't think a like 20+% type of guy. Anytime these players are like sub 10 or even like Cup could push like sub 7, sub 5, you just like you slam those guys. Like you couldn't, there's nothing you could tell me about the matchup of him versus San Francisco or any matchup for that matter that would say if Cooper Cup is 7%, like you should just slam it.
What about the Cardinals Vikings game? That's one that I think is pretty interesting. It's not like as kind of bulletproof as the Lions Dolphins. But and it's also tough from a DFS perspective because the guy with the ceiling is Kyler Murray, but I think you're probably dependent on the Vikings making this game fun. I think they're the ones who are probably going to be more aggressive. Cardinals might try to be run heavy again, like they were against the Eagles. They do not seem interested in getting in shootouts. And so maybe Murray has to get pushed a little bit. If that's the case, maybe you want to play this from the Vikings side, but now you've got an immobile quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and that doesn't feel as fun. So it's not like just based on all those considerations, playing it in DFS doesn't feel great, but there could be a lot of points in this game. It's got a high total. There's lots of players that we think are in great spots. I think Justin Jefferson is in an awesome spot this week. I think Adam Thielen, Irv Smith are all totally viable. I think Rondale Moore could have a bounce back week as long as Robbie Anderson's on the outside, which would put Moore back in the slot. I think, people are probably totally over him and done with him, but I think he's pretty interesting actually. So there's like lots of different skill players that I like here. And maybe I'll play this through minis and not worry about the quarterbacks, but it also makes me think like, okay, I just have to beat Jalen Hurts this week at quarterback. And a lot of the field is playing a 4K guy who's never played an NFL game. Like, how could that fail? Even though I'll probably do it myself. But like, if you get a good game from Kyler Murray here and Hurts doesn't go off, like, it could be a pretty big win.
Yeah, you said it. With the Viking side of the ball, I think we definitely need them to push. But I wouldn't. To me, that doesn't mean like play Kirk Cousins just because in the past, what is this like 20 some odd games, 30-point performances. Unsurprisingly, he's Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's going to get you 20, 24, 28 on his ceiling games, even with no Allen, Jackson, and Mahomes for this week. We're going to find a 30-point game somewhere, and it probably isn't coming through Kirk. So I'd go Kyler Murray. I'd probably play it pretty straight up because Kyler Murray is going to be I don't think he'll be popular at all. If you're paying up, you're just paying for Jalen Hurts and probably no one else. I mean, there literally is no one else. So just Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson is going to be a pretty unique stack. You could probably even throw like an Irv Smith or Zach Ertz if you're real grimy. But that's just such a unique build as opposed to when I'm starting with Tua, Tyreek, and Amon-Ra, I really am going to have to push myself to add in some low-owned plays, whereas you're not set, but you're close to set if you're playing a Kyler stack.
Yeah, I guess we'll get more into tight end later, but like, yeah, it's tough to like. I think I'd be more inclined to almost like double bring back with Irv Smith at 3,500 than go to Zach Ertz at 51. Like that's just you're already using. If you go Kyler, Justin Jefferson, bring back DeAndre Hopkins with the stack, and then you try to tack on a 5,100 Zach Ertz, like I just feel like your lineup's going to look pretty gross.
We have good value running back, but I kind of agree. I'm totally fine with the double bring back, especially because of how cheap Irv Smith is. You don't need that much from him, whereas Zach Ertz for 1,600 more on DraftKings, and both him and DeAndre Hopkins are essentially volume plays, right? Like, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is probably still explosive. Zach Ertz obviously isn't. But the thing we like most about DeAndre Hopkins is he was targeted on 50% of his routes, played every snap.
Yeah, literally 50% of his routes. Like you're not like
yes, that is
it's
exactly.
not about 50%. Yeah.
Yeah, if you set your threshold low enough, he's the highest targets per outrun player in the NFL.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to up your threshold, otherwise all the metrics break.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, we were like, oh man, 11 catches from him in a high paced game. 11 catches from him probably rules out Zach Ertz from also getting 10 catches, which like that dude needs to get there.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to some start sit questions. We will come back. We will touch running back. We'll touch the rest of the tight end position in the next segment, which we'll do in about 10 minutes. But yeah, let's fire through some more start sits for now. Barry Mills asks Foreman, Brian Robinson, or Wan'Dale Robinson.
I'm still going to go Foreman. I mean, I really do think we're looking at nearly every touch for Deonta Foreman with Chuba Hubbard out. Like Raheem Blackshear is their other player, and he was like a practice squad claim off the Bills.
I think I'm going Wan'Dale.
That's fine.
I just feel like, even though there was some value here last week. They're playing from ahead. The Falcons are so frustrating, but I could see them actually just like beating the crap out of the Panthers. And then we're like, oh yeah, like the run thing that Arthur Smith, like his only plan does work against the Panthers. The Falcons are also a pass funnel, so we could see more PJ Walker here than Foreman. All right, which two running backs should I start as a running back 2 and flex? DeAndre Swift, Dameon Pierce. Man, you're doing good. Kenneth Walker, Raheem Mostert. Start 2 of those guys.
I'll go with Pierce Walker. You could convince me
Swift
of
Walker,
Mostert, though. I think with how good these options are, you probably don't need the Swift risk because like Swift is definitely probably the most talented of the 4, probably, but Pierce and Walker are both really good too. So you're not gaining
Swift's the most talented.
I don't think the gap between him and Pierce and Walker is like a chasm that I'm willing to sacrifice probably a median projection of 10 touches.
Walker's locked in. He's in a great game environment.
Yeah.
As a pure rusher, he's more talented than Swift. And he's going to probably rip off another long run. But I don't know. I don't love the spot for Pierce. I think this is potentially a letdown spot for Pierce. And I love the spot for the Lions offense. So I think I am Swift, but I'm playing for ceiling with that. I think you have a higher floor probably with Pierce. I think Swift has maybe a higher ceiling. Darrell Henderson or James Robinson?
Do you know that's James? Could it be Brian or Wan'Dale?
Oh man, yeah, you're right. It probably isn't James. That was like an instinct. I'm just used to saying James Robinson. Let's say it's Wan'Dale Robinson since you didn't specify.
I will take either Wan'Dale or Brian over Henderson.
And you definitely were taking Henderson over James though, right?
Henderson over James, correct? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Should I trade away Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper, George Pickens for Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, and Hunt?
Yes.
Yeah. Holy. Yes. Do it right now. I think Josh Jacobs is like obviously a great running back to have, but if he's getting this kind of package, and then I'm moving off of him.
Yeah, you're getting like the rest of season wide receiver 5 and like 9 or something.
Yeah. Like I'm sure Jacobs would be like, I don't know, the 102 or the 103 or something if we were redrafting, but I wouldn't be taking him there. He'd be pretty close straight up with Adams.
Agreed.
I might take Adams.
And then Higgins is way ahead of, and Cooper's fine, but Higgins is easily ahead of him, and Pickens he's fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if Hunt gets traded, there's like, I don't know, there was some report that Hunt might get traded to the Rams, which I don't know if there's any truth to that, but hey, I mean, be pretty good for that trade. Michael Carter, Michael Pittman, or Brandon Cooks?
I think Pittman, but you could sell me on Cooks.
I think it's Cooks, but
okay.
You know what? I just made the case for DeAndre Swift's ceiling, so I'll go Pittman. I think Pittman has a higher ceiling. Maybe this offense clicks a little downfield. Pittman's been good downfield, just not this season because Matt Ryan can't hit him. All right, defense questions. Indianapolis, Jacksonville, or Cincinnati?
I don't know. Who do these teams play? Whichever one plays the worst quarterback.
It's funny because like I obviously when I think about the offenses, I know who they're going against, but then you ask defense.
When you ask it from the other perspective, I can't think about it.
So since he's going against the Browns,
Indy goes against Washington,
going against
right?
the Broncos. Yeah, and
it's Indy versus Washington. There you go.
Yeah, but you get Jacksonville versus Denver. That's pretty good too.
Who's worse?
I think it's Indy versus Washington because you
Who's
might get
worse,
more.
Russell Wilson or Taylor Heineke? And that is like a serious question. I think it's Taylor
Disrespectful,
Heineke.
man. That's
To
disrespectful.
Heineke?
To Taylor Heineke, yes. I drafted 6 quarterbacks in this year's draft. I'm 5-2. Congrats, man. I hope that was a Superflex league.
That's related to a question. No.
Wan'Dale Robinson or Deontay Johnson in half-point PPR. Man, Deontay, catch some balls. Do you ever think about that?
And then
about catching one of the 18 targets you get?
I'll set up a second step. Once the ball is caught, make sure you've caught it, both hands wrapped around it, tuck it.
Both hands.
Run forward and gain yards beyond the catch.
Yes. Now, and do that. It would be ideal if you could average, I'm not going to set the bar too high here. 7 yards per one of those targets. That'd be great. Instead of like the 4.5 last week. I mean, man, good Lord. I think I'm still Deontay, though.
Deontay.
Yeah. I could tell we were roasting Deontay because we were both going to say Deontay.
Yeah. It's a coping mechanism without a doubt.
It is. Boyd, Pittman, or CD in half-point PPR. CD all day. But, I mean, you're starting CD. Pickens or McLaurin?
McLaurin.
D Green. What's D Green?
I think they're having a conversation because I heard someone else
saying D Green.
I read someone else say Chaka, so they're talking amongst themselves. Very good. They're producing their own content.
Yeah, I hope you guys are having a good combo. Deontay Foreman or Gabe Davis? Gabe all day. Lockett, Ayuk. Who you got? Ayuk with no Debo. Hang on, he's got Ramondre Stevenson as well.
Ramondre, yeah. I don't hate Lockett, though. Like you said, it looks like a good game overall. There's no way we're getting DK Metcalf. I don't think he's been technically ruled out, but like, he's not playing. But I'll still go Ramondre, I think.
I think Ramondre just because like the floor is going to be higher, projectable volume for the running back. Lockett could always dud as a receiver. He'll probably be totally fine, but I just think the floor is a little higher for the running back. And then I'm not sure the ceiling is like that much higher for Lockett. I do think it's a little higher, but like,
yeah, the ceiling for Stevenson is that he does what that last week wasn't injury related for Harris, that they've just gone to Stevenson. And that is absolutely a realistic ceiling. It's not like a pie in the sky thing anymore. And that ceiling is easily as good as Lockett's. So yeah, it's a good, I agree.
With Hubbard out, would you start Deontay Foreman over Terry McLaurin?
I think I would. Half PPR. The receptions, they're worth half of the whole.
Man. It's true. Yeah. I think I'm still McLaurin. I guess I'm like skeptical of this. I was like putting in bids for Deontay Foreman last Sunday. I'm like, should we go aggressive? And everyone's like, who cares? It's Carolina. Like, what's the point? And now it's like, there's some value here. I'm still a little skeptical.
Definitely, man. PJ Walker for every game snap in his NFL career was one of the worst starting quarterbacks to appear. And then last week happened. Shouldn't shake us off of our prior too much.
No, it shouldn't.
I'm just trying to bank touches with Foreman, but the offense could just kill everyone.
That's totally fair. Yeah. McLaurin, what I liked about McLaurin is like when they needed to win that game, they just like were Heineke's so zeroed in on him. So I think he has like a decent floor. Like he's not going to catch less than 3 balls or whatever. All right. Wallet or Dulcich? Now, who is Wallet?
Waller.
Is that Walker?
No, it's Waller.
Or Waller. It's Waller. Wallet.
I think it's still Waller, but like it's still Waller, right?
Yeah, it's still Waller. It's definitely still Waller. Yeah, isn't Adams dealing with an illness?
I mean, as long as it's not COVID, every player is playing through. Every player who gets an illness is playing through it. So
that's true, but I mean, it could affect his snaps or whatever, getting fluids or something. Man, this conversation is really lively here. Making it hard to find the questions. All right, Bills or Eagles D?
Eagles. They're facing Kenny Pickett versus the Bills facing Aaron
Rodgers. Why can't I remember who they're playing when it's the defense? Yeah. I'm Eagles as well. I have Juju. You think it will affect him with the Tony signing? I sure do.
Do you think so? Because
yes.
All right. Yes. Well, go ahead for it. To me, it was more. I see this as more of an indictment of the guys who are not playing every snap. Because I don't know if we see
he's
Tony
Deontay Johnson, dude. He's not affecting his snaps because he's going to play on the outside. But his whole game is get open quickly on the outside.
That's fair.
It's like Deontay Johnson all over again. Juju's yards per out run is about to drop to like 0.9. It's going to be gross. Juju doesn't get open quickly, but he gets open shallowly. The worst thing that could be added to this offense is a guy who gets open quickly and shallowly. Like it's just, I don't know. Juju's in a really tough spot. He'll be on the field. It'll be, I think Hardman's coming off, and we're getting MVS, Tony on the outside, and Juju on the slot. And I think it's going to suck for Juju. All right, traded Mixon and CD
Oh, no.
for Amon-Ra. Oh, he traded him already. Good move? That's the question. Good move. Drew, we don't answer trades you've already made. It's not helping anyone. Congratulations on making a trade, though.
I'll tell you in 3 months if it was a good move.
Yeah. Hubbard or Isaiah McKenzie?
Well, Hubbard's not playing, so
I'd
say you don't want to play him, but that's just me.
Now, we can help Prince here because he's been offered the trade. Now, if you've already made this trade, Prince, I'm going to be very angry with you. But we will help you, taking you at face value that this trade has not yet been accepted. Offered Trevor Lawrence, Mike Evans, and Christian McCaffrey for Jalen Hurts and Joe Mixon. My wide receiver 1 is out the next 4 weeks, Mike Williams. My other wide receiver is Devontae Smith and DJ Moore. So again, Trevor Lawrence, Mike Evans, McCaffrey for Hurts and Mixon.
I think you got to take the side that has like flex players in it who are really good, even though Hurts is also very good. I go the Evans McCaffrey side.
I think so too. You're going to have to figure it out at quarterback. With a trade like this, I think I'd counter and drop Lawrence. You know what I mean? Like,
can you get anything instead of Lawrence? Lawrence is no better than the Sam Ehlinger or the Daniel Jones that you can pick up right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Kirk Cousins coming off by, someone cut him. He's no different than Trevor Lawrence.
Or so can you drop Lawrence and then like downgrade Mixon to someone else, or you know what I mean? Like, or upgrade Evans to someone else, or get a better third player. That's how I'd be trying to counter off that. But I don't think it's far off, and I might just take it as is. All right, Jamal Williams or James Robinson. Jamal Williams for James Robinson is a drop. I think I'm still Williams.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Flex, David Montgomery or Pickens?
Montgomery.
I think I'm Pickens, man.
That's fine.
Hot hand. I told you hot hand. You were very skeptical. Hot hand last week. Khalil Herbert snaps were up.
It's good. That's what we want to see. This looks like a pretty tough spot for Pickens. Like, he's going to get slayed. The whole point of the Eagles defense is like, how can we not give up big plays? Which is a really smart way to play. Like, you just let them get tiny EPA wins and tiny EPA losses when your offense can just boat race anyone. I think it's a bad spot for Pickens, but to be fair, every spot is mostly a bad spot for Montgomery.
I think the Bears might get blown out of the water. Pick one wide receiver and one flex. Gabe Davis, Michael Carter, Ayuk.
Davis, Ayuk?
Ayuk.
I mean, definitely Davis, yeah.
Well, Debo's banged up. I think Ayuk could be a good play. All right. Pitts or Taysom Hill for the waiver wire? I'm confused by this question, but I think it's Pitts, Taysom Hill, Ingram, or Dulcich.
Yeah, that's what it reads. Like, I'm Dulcich over Pitts. Like,
I am too.
We're done with this
Pitts nonsense. I think I'm just straight up Dulcich.
Yeah, Dulcich over all of them, to be fair. Yeah.
Pollard is if Zeke's out, right? That got declared.
I don't know if it's gotten declared yet. As of this morning, McCarthy said there's like a long shot chance he can play or something of that nature. I mean, he's like definitely not playing. He's definitely not playing.
I mean, he might just go out there for one snap just to try to. He's like, look, if I play terrible, at least it snaps that Pollard isn't looking good. He's just trying to save that job. I think Pollard, if Zeke's out, I'm not sure I'm playing any running back over Pollard. Like he's in such a good spot. Pickens or Wandale?
Wandale.
Me too. Miles Sanders or Michael Pittman?
Miles Sanders.
Lockett, Cooks, or Gabe Davis in the flex?
Gabe, but Lockett's close.
I'm Gabe. Bills are going to roll. Wandale or Deontay?
We said Deontay, but you were not crazy. You were certainly not crazy for trying to not play like the least efficient receiver in the league.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lockett, Cooks, Gabe Davis. Do we get that? Yeah. We got Alberto saying Prince should do the trade. I think, that's one of those ones where I might leave the offer and
Yes,
not reject
correct.
it, and then send a counter, which I feel like is always a move that signals the guy should reject it, and then you'll probably accept it. But
Leave it. Yeah,
I still do it. I still do it.
It can't hurt. The opponent may not know the strategy.
This guy's just telling us trades that he made. He's not even asking him if we like him. All right,
Hey, that's a
I
more
think this
honest
could be
living. That's a more honest living than asking us to evaluate. It's just coming to hang out and talk. This is what I did.
That's fine. I mean,
I had
maybe it's
some-
for the chat.
I had some coffee
right.
this morning. I made a trade. How are you guys doing?
I think we banged through a couple more here, and then we're going to get back to DFS real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones,
Pollard.
Sanders.
Every
Sit
question you'll
one.
have is Pollard,
No,
unless
sit
you're asking.
one.
Oh, sit one. Aaron Jones.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think maybe it is Aaron Jones or Sanders. All right, Algier, Goodwin, Garrett Wilson, Renfro, Damian Harris at the flex.
Goodwin. Are you thinking Algier?
I think it's Algier.
I'm fine with Algier. If you think it's Algier, I'll.
I don't know. I don't feel good about it. I think definitely could be a good one. All right. Non-PPR, James Robinson, DJ Moore, Deontay Foreman.
Foreman and non-PPR especially. If you'd upgraded to full PPR, I'd go more.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Jerry's trading it. Jerry posted a trade in here, which I won't bring up because we don't talk about trades that are already made. But I will say the reaction was not positive. People did not like the trade he made. All right, last one. End with a Dulcich question. That's how we like to do it here. Start Dulcich or Mike Gesicki.
This might be the worst butchering of Mike Gesicki's name I've seen. It's Gesicki.
Yeah. I thought maybe you were going for Gesicki, but nope.
Like
also, Dulcich spelled wrong, by the way.
Oh, you're right. Dulcich. It's Dulcich.
It is
that's
Dulcich. Start Dulcich, not Gesicki. Okay, let's move to the DFS. We'll do about 10 minutes here, go a little over this week, and discuss the running back position, where we are going to get Tony Pollard week, it looks like. Ton of ownership on him. Ton of ceiling on him as well, though. So definitely someone I'm interested in. Maybe I can do some low-owned stuff elsewhere and play Pollard. That seems fun. Ramondre Stevenson will be popular. Dameon Pierce looks like it will be pretty popular, but I already said I don't love the spot for him this week. Josh Jacobs continuing to smash 3 straight 30-point games. Imagine people will want to play him. Kenneth Walker, again, in a good spot. Derrick Henry, even though he's expensive, I think should be chalky, right? He's in a really, really like, how does this fail for Derrick Henry? You know, like he's set up so well against the Texans. We talked about Raheem Mostert is kind of an obvious leverage play, and so he'll probably be pretty popular. Thoughts on those guys? Anyone else I didn't mention?
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard will be, might be the most popular running back we've seen all year, and like. I still want to play him. I
still want to play him too, man.
It is like the field has to beat me on these things. And I have looked at top players' lineups, looked like Osmo's lineups, Brick's lineups, I think Whistle's lineups. And typically when we get these slam dunk running backs, they are over the field on them. It's just like, I'm just going to let the field beat me elsewhere. I'm going to take the layups where I get them.
This does feel like a layup, right? I mean, he's not priced as like, you know, super, super cheap. So you're not, I mean, I wouldn't call him a free square at 6,100, but that's also, it's like close to a free square, right?
Yeah, I think it's close to a free square. And they don't have any, like, tell me 3 things you know about their backup, Malik Davis.
His name is Malik. His last name is Davis, and he is not Rico Dowdle, who I thought might be on the team, and I think may have been cut years ago.
Dowdle, I think, is on IR right now. He got.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then I did know who originally was the backup.
After Googling Malik Davis, it appears as though he was a backup running back at Florida because he never got over 100 carries in like 4 or 5 seasons. Like,
well, hang on, because Dameon Pierce was a backup running back at Florida, so maybe he's a star.
I wonder if they played at the same time, because that probably means that Pierce, who was a committee back at Florida, was still getting more carries, though Pierce is good, so it doesn't really hold. But
that's what I'm saying.
I'm not playing this Florida backup running back who played for like 4 or 5 years.
I'm interested now that he went to Florida. They don't know who to play there.
Everyone who doesn't get time at Florida is really good.
You ever watch Pete's randomizer channel where he just spins the randomizer wheel? That's how they decide who to play at Florida, clearly.
Yeah, so I don't see any way that any of these backups are getting much work. It's him and like Kadri Olesen, a career fringe 53 practice squad player. If they had any backup of note, like the Saints like Tony Jones at one point or whatever, like that guy can take work away from Mark Ingram. They have nobody on this roster taking work away. They're big favorites. Bears run defense has not been good. I'm like, yeah,
Well, here's why I think it's such a great play, is that I don't care if Malik Davis gets like 8 carries. I'm fine with it. I don't think it hurts him because he's an explosive player, Tony Pollard. The whole reason to play him is that you're hoping he rips off a 40-yard touchdown run. He has a very good chance to do so because he's playing this weak Bears defense. Not a good run defense at all. Huge run funnel. But the thing is, the Bears cannot push the Cowboys. They have no chance. They have absolutely no chance of pushing the Cowboys off script. What they can do maybe is, just kind of bleed the clock and get this game over with as quickly as possible, which could limit play volume. But I just think the Cowboys they're going to give Tony Pollard as many runs as he can handle. And that's less than other running backs. But that's still like, I mean, I don't know. If we get like 18, 19 touches for Tony Pollard against a weak defense, I mean, he can house a couple. So I don't know. I'm just not worried about anyone mixing in. I mean, I could feel good about their backup running back. I'd still be very psyched to play Pollard.
Yeah, I'm playing Pollard every lineup. Sue me, libs.
Well, who else? Okay, you've got another running back spot to fill. Who are you putting in there?
I'll be at least a little more contrarian with this. I think on DraftKings, if you're paying up, I think we're going to get Saquon and Jacobs, at least 2 of Saquon, Jacobs, Kamara, more popular than Derrick Henry. Early in the week, it looked like it would be clearly Derrick Henry, but those running backs are all in pretty good spots and have seen elite roles. So I'd be fine even just getting a 4 or 5% ownership discount on Henry versus any one of those. I do really like Deonta Foreman. I think.
Do you think Henry's in like a much better spot than Kamara? I think Kamara's still like in a really good spot.
Yeah, they're probably in similar spots. Yeah, really, the thesis of playing any one of these running backs over any other one of these running backs is I think they're all really good plays. Just take the one who gives you 5% lower ownership. And I think that's Henry.
Do you think we'll have a
good
read on that? Like, do you think that when we flip the cards over, it's going to be like Henry's 25, Kamara's 12, or vice versa? Like, or that they're both like semi-popular, like, plus or minus 4% off 20%.
I think it's probably the latter of those.
Yeah, that stinks. That stinks because now you just need to be right.
Yeah, exactly. You're not getting a massive edge. I'll always take, if I think they're all similar, which in a way I do, they're all getting there in roughly different ways. Point being, I think they're all similar. You're not getting a massive edge. I do think Henry is in like just the spot of all absolute spots. He leads all running backs in expected rushing points, fantasy points over the past 3 weeks. He hasn't played a game in each one of his past 3 weeks. His 2-game sample is better than any running back's 3-game sample. And he's getting some receiving work. It's not a lot, but like when you can add 3 for 30, another touchdown to Derrick Henry's 170 and 3 touchdown line, you take it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the receiving stuff for Henry is very exciting. And I don't think a fluke. I mean, I think kind of like the Packers with Aaron Jones, like they're involving him because the receivers aren't good.
They also did this at the start of last year before he got hurt as well. And shockingly, Julio Jones wasn't playing at those points. AJ Brown was banged up. So we saw his 2 best stretches of 3 games of receptions have been start of this year and the start of last year.
Yep. All right, let's talk tight end for like 2 minutes and then close this show out. We talked about Pat Freiermuth, probably be pretty popular. He is, I think, a pretty strong play at 3,900. We also have Zach Ertz, who's at least part of a popular game environment, but I do not like the salary. Who jumps out to you here? It looks like, are we going to get Darren Waller? Because I think Boston Moreau at 3,100 is pretty interesting, but obviously only if Waller's out.
Yeah, Waller was limited back-to-back days in practice, so usually that's a sign they're playing, though he is coming back from an injury, so I'd bet on him playing. Oh, that's what I'll say. I'd bet on him playing. Maybe that makes him an interesting option. He's 5,400, but the thing is, like, his role's been so-so, and it's because Devontae Adams there. Obviously, anyone playing alongside Devontae Adams, as good as Darren Waller is, they're going to get overshadowed. The one thing is, they've been playing him more outside, and his ADOT has gone up significantly. maybe there's some room for you're giving away a lot of target share versus what we used to get from him, but you're picking up some air yards on a per target basis. I don't know. It's probably not a bad option, honestly. I don't know if I'll get there. I think it's probably a really large field thing, but I assume no one's going to play him because he hasn't been that good. So, and the thing is, like, your other options are not good. Like Tyler Higbee, like I've never been less scared of a tight end in my life than Tyler Higbee, who has 120-point game in the past 2.5 seasons. Like
yeah, I'm not scared of him. I'm not scared of Noah Fant either. Noah Fant looks like he'll be pretty chalky. 2,800, so the price tag's driving it. You don't need a ton there. Obviously, they need Metcalf they need someone to help replace Metcalf. But like, is he running 60% of the routes? Because I don't think he is. I think he's just below like normal.
Yeah, I'm not playing Noah Fant. I mean, like they use a 3 tight end committee. No, I won't play Noah Fant. And he is going to be a top like 6. Tight end ownership should be pretty flat. There's just no slam dunk plays. Like Higbee is a fine enough play, but I don't think he'll get past like 15 or whatever. The rest of the plays, like Freiermuth, again, he's good because he's cheap. Same you can say about Noah Fant, and he's the cheapest. He's the cheapest viable tight end easily. So he'll be popular for that reason, but I'm not playing.
Right. I agree. He's only popular because of how much he costs. All right. No fantasy show is complete without talking about Kyle Pitts. Are you interested in him? On DraftKings, he is only at 4K.
No.
I'm not either. All right.
Can't do it.
Guys, we will be back next Friday at 1 o'clock. Thanks for joining. Make sure to check out all of our content on the site right now. Kyle's got DFS for you. We've got Denny's column, funneling fantasy points, I believe. And you can check out the walkthrough as well. Go very in-depth on the game-by-game preview there. Also, make sure to check out all the great content we have on the Rotoworld podcast feed. To the recap show on Sunday. We got Lawrence, Kyle, and Pat doing their rankings pod. We got Pat and Denny, and then we got a preview pod on Thursday. You can check that out. Always a ton of great content there. Also some arguments about whether or not Christian McCaffrey got a lot of touches last week, which was one of the highlights of the season for me. But thanks so much, guys, and we will see you next week.